Practice gratitude in changing your attitude. I did not mean for that to rhyme, but hello, amazing friends. I'm so happy that you're here today for another video. If you are new here, please like this video and hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you as my friend. For those of you who are returning subscribers, you know that I try to interact with you as much as possible. Some of you have added me on Instagram, some of you are following my blog, and I always try to answer you and really start a conversation with you because I definitely appreciate your input on the topics that I discuss, and I definitely believe that it's so important for us to create a community of women who value femininity, homemaking, and basically the plight of the woman that might not conform to societal norms right now. If you are new here, I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Cynthia. I'm 25 years old. I am married and I live in Canada with my husband and our 3 dogs. You can also visit my blog at cynthialloandblog.com. This video is going to serve a little bit as an introduction into being a high-value woman. And I'm going to structure it into several parts. It will kind of be a mini-series because I believe that leveling up to being a high-value woman is something that you can strive to be throughout your whole life. There are a lot of people talking about why you want to be a high-value woman simply to find a mate, to find a husband, and that is great, and we will touch on those subjects. But I don't believe that once you are married, although there is that relaxation part in being married, you do not need to stop trying to be a high-level woman. Desiring to be a high-level woman will be so enriching in your life and will serve as a good example for your children, and particularly to those women who are traditional homemakers or women striving to live out their femininity. Being a high-value woman is going to help in our movement because the high-value woman can often be seen without saying anything at all. She stands out in a room, and if you are a woman living more of that traditional lifestyle that is opposite to what is perpetually advertised as the ideal woman in today's modern society, you are going to want to present yourself on a different level, on a desirable level, so that others can see that it is okay to not want to be that extremely pushy woman living in her masculine. We are going to begin this series on how to be a high-value woman with the discussion of inner happiness. So like I mentioned, the high-value woman carries herself with a sense of pride and purpose that can be noticed by almost everybody that she comes into contact with, or even doesn't come into contact with, those who see her and admire her from afar. Seeking to develop your inner happiness will not only benefit you in your walk through everyday life, but is also going to help you harness that energy and exude that happiness that presents itself without having to say anything at all. People tend to be awestruck by the happiness in a high-value woman because it's really opposite to what we see in society today. In society today, we tend to see women that are moody, women that are truly unhappy, and that are always fighting constantly, whether it is against personal issues or whether it is against work issues or anything that a woman could deal with every single day. There is this constant battle going on, and it's very difficult for the modern woman to exude happiness. I have a few tips that I want you to use to be able to activate that inner happiness and live your life as a high-value woman. Number 1 is I want you to seek an awakening. I want you to come to terms with the fact that you are responsible for your own happiness. Those of you who do have a religion, I find it especially helpful that you seek to develop that faith. For me, as I discovered the world of Christianity, I was able to come to terms with the fact that my happiness was found within myself through the salvation of Jesus Christ. Now, if you are not of a particular faith, like you will see in my previous video on habits, which I will link down below, I'm a big believer in affirmations. So what you can begin doing is affirming to yourself out loud and in your mind that you are a happy person. The second point that I want to bring up to help you activate that inner happiness is to incorporate aspects of slow living. This goes against the way that everybody in society appears to be living right now, where your schedule has to be back-to-back packed. we can see that this is not exactly working for the modern woman because she's not exuding that inner happiness. When I began the process of slow living as somebody with a type A personality, I had to do so in a constructive way. So what I did was I adopted minimalism. When I adopted minimalism, I began to be thankful for everything that I own. You don't need to be a Japanese minimalist to be able to begin slow living, but I found it particularly helpful that when I adopted concepts of minimalism, that I began restructuring my day because I wasn't so preoccupied with filling my schedule into acquiring objects. This innately helped me focus less on materialistic plights and helped me value relationships with others, which consequently caused me to open my schedule so that I could have the time to spend with others, building memories rather than acquiring things. The third tip that I want you to begin doing to become a happy, high-value woman is to practice gratitude in changing your attitude. I did not mean for that to rhyme, but take the time to look around at your life and find something that you are thankful for. Rather than focusing on the things that you can improve, think about the things that you have already accomplished and the skills that you already have. Similarly, if you find yourself in a bad mood, with a bad attitude, prevent yourself from taking that out on those that you encounter by removing yourself from social situations and doing things that help you recharge. In one of my previous videos when I talked about activating your feminine energy, which I will also link down below, I talked about the importance of incorporating 3 things on a daily basis for you. When you begin doing this, you recharge your mental battery and you are better able to give to others. You are better able to show gratitude and you are more perceptive to the things that you are thankful for. The next thing that I want you to incorporate is an element of personal responsibility. This goes along with owning up to your own life. Begin taking responsibility for the things in your life that aren't perfect. If you aren't happy with the way that your life is, begin taking responsibility for that. If your relationships are not up to par, begin taking responsibility for that. You would think that this is a very negative thing, but it is actually a very liberating thing, because once you realize that you are responsible for the circumstances in your life apart from tragedy that you can't control, you begin making an action plan to improve yourself. And when you make an action plan to improve yourself and you create goals and daily habits, this will release happy hormones in your daily life that will cause you to feel happy due to the nature of simply accomplishing something. By accepting personal responsibility, I also want you to realize that you are not a bad person for having done something wrong or having hurt somebody else. The thing that I want you to realize, and I've always said this to the younger women that I've counseled, is the concept that you are not a bad person if you realize what you did wrong and you try to correct yourself. Even if you get back to that negative place, if you realize that you got back to that negative place and you take it even a step further to not repeat those negative actions, you are a good person. The bad person is the person that realizes what they have done wrong, and we are all capable of realizing the things that we have done wrong, and they do not take the steps and they ignore what they have done and they continue to live their life. We are almost at the end, and I want you to also give yourself permission to grieve. So give yourself permission to be sad about the things that occur in your life. You cannot feel ultimate true happiness without going through the process of feeling sad. The difference is I don't want you to dwell on those things. Now, if we are dealing with a situation that is tragic, such as a death, you must realize that you probably will never get over that, and the process of grieving somebody is a lifetime process. But that does not have to impede your ability to find some sort of inner peace with that situation, that thing. The way to achieve that inner peace, which will help you activate happiness in other elements of your life, is to go through the grieving process. Depending on the magnitude of how tragic and how sad that thing is, you can allot yourself a specific amount of time, and then you tell yourself after that specific amount of time, you are going to try to live happily. And this doesn't mean that sadness won't creep into your life as you have decided in that certain period of time to live happily. But when those waves of sadness happen, you will tell yourself, okay, I will take a few hours, or I will take the afternoon, I will grieve, I will cry, I will do whatever needs to be done to come to terms with this situation. Don't just push it aside, because it will always be there in the back of your mind and it will impede you from feeling happiness in other rounds of your life. The last point that I want to bring up is for you to live in alignment with who you truly are. Embrace those wacky sides of yourself and be unapologetically feminine. That's one of the reasons why I created this channel, because I found that so many women, including myself, were afraid of showing their true feminine side. And that doesn't necessarily mean that your true self is completely feminine. You could have some nerdy characteristics to yourself, you could have some sporty characteristics to your personality. Whatever it is, begin living in who you truly are and embrace all of the qualities of the way that you are beautifully made. If you have any tips on how to live as a high-value woman and activate your inner happiness, I would love for you to begin a discussion and leave your comments below. Also, let me know what you liked about this video and how this resonated with you. I am so happy that you are here, and I am really grateful for all of you. I can't stop saying that enough. So I also wanted to mention that I post videos multiple times a week. I'm still working on the final schedule, but I would love for you to subscribe so that you are the first to know when my schedule in terms of that is finalized. So I will see you next time. Bye-bye. Bye-bye-bye.